Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Forman. We have Jake Sacks with us again, and we are going to be talking about the CJ Nelson Parallax in Thunderbolt Construction. This board right here is the Parallax 9.6. It's 9.6, 23 and 3/4, 3.25 thick, so 3 1/4 thick, and it is in Thunderbolt Red Construction. You could go to the Thunderbolt Construction video and get all the tech on Thunderbolt Red, but basically Thunderbolt Red is an EPS core, full fiberglass layup, carbon stringer, carbon flex and torsion control strips on the deck and the bottom of the board. So, but there's no full carbon layup on this board, it's just the torsion and the flex strips in this board. So it's the Parallax, and let's get into it, Jake. What do you think of this board when we got the chance to surf it?
It was great. I kind of expected jumping on it and looking at the outline that it would just be like an all-around kind of longboard, just do everything kind of longboard. But as we started to ride it, we really felt like it, with its glider bottom and its kind of hold-out bottom, it really like would just cruise and go. And so when we first jumped on it, we started riding it with a bigger fin and found that it would really just glide through flat sections. It has a very performance tail to it, right. And so you can throw it on rail and get a turn with it. But we ended up going down on fin just because with the bigger fin, it was too locked in and too
right.
tracky. And so as we started really dialing it in, we came to really love the board. Like both of us were really impressed with the amount of paddle power it had, with the thickness. That 3 1/4 in the middle really tapers out though, and so you get good paddle power without feeling like it's bulky or too thick in places, and that has a lot to do with the rail line and everything. Mm-hmm. What do you think of it?
I mean, CJ, he the write-up that he did on this board, just sort of like kind of briefing everybody what it's about. He's like, straight out of the blocks, he's like, I would never compete on that board.
Right.
He goes, I would never compete on the Parallax, but that's not what it was made for. He goes, it was just made for feeling good, trimming and just hauling ass, like on the wave and just having a really good time, which I really think it did. I mean, you look at and I like your comparison, like with the glider, because it does actually have a lot of glider in it. Like Parallax, the parallel outline of the board, like is I think a lot faster than a lot of other outlines on the board. It's got a cool, tapered thumbtail to it, so it kind of brings the tail in, which gives it hold on better waves and like kind of helps it pivot when you need to. You're totally right on the bottom. Like the edge is really defined through the tail, up to about here, right about where the end of the measurements are. It's defined, and then it starts tapering out to a normal softer edge.
Which is an odd combo for a glider, but a really cool combo, because you have the ability to gain speed and glide out, but then with that tail being the way it is, you can throw it and throw a turn in there really quickly, like and get into the next section kind of.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a cool combo, especially for someone just getting into longboards or like trying to figure out where they're gonna be riding a 9.5.
Right.
This one kind of does it all, glides, will turn as well, but it just has a really cool feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think it sits like in between a true nose rider and a performance board, and changing the fin can really alter its performance. Like when we first were surfing it with James, like we had this it's a Captain fin. It's a Christensen 9-inch tracker fin in it, which looked about right on the board. If anything, it looked a little bit big just because of how narrow the tail is.
Yeah.
But with how narrow the tip was, we figured, hey, that's a good starting point. But what I think it's important to just sort of like relate the sensations we felt, because like if you're kind of nearing the upper end of like having too much fin, the board is going to start to feel a little bit tracky and a little bit more critical on your movement. So it'll look sexy. It's sort of like a looks good, feels bad.
Yeah.
And so the nose riding was really good with this fin, and like noticeably a little bit better. But in a critical situation, it might grab. Like the outline might grab, just something might grab. Like the board just didn't feel.
You feel that locked
neutral.
in where you're fighting it a little bit.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't free up.
And I felt that like in some of my other boards, and literally just downsizing one fin can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like single fins, you don't think that. You think, oh, it's low tech, like anything will work.
Yeah.
But you know, we basically went from a 9 tracker to an 8.5 skip fry, and the board went 100% neutral, and you could just slide it right into the, I'm not like, you know, not spinning out, but like you could drift it into the pocket and like be really neutral and a lot more flowing.
Yeah, you're able to kind of forget about the board a little more and just surf instead of trying to fight the board and have it hold you back. So.
Yeah, so I think a board like this, you know, because it sits halfway between those two style of boards, like it's a good utility longboard, and tuning it with the fin based on your conditions, like, you know, if you're in a better type of wave, like where you want to have that more neutral feel to put yourself in the pocket of the wave, you can go with a smaller fin, or if you're like at Nose Rider Central, you can put the next size up and the board totally changes like how it surfs.
That's true, yeah.
So this is the Parallax CJ Nelson design in Thunderbolt Construction. And again, this one is Thunderbolt Red, which is the all fiberglass construction, EPS epoxy. If you have any questions on any of the CJ Nelson design Parallaxes, or you'd like to place an order for one, you can always call us at the shop, 252-987-6000, or you can look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Jake, thanks for joining us, and thanks for tuning in.